Hey everyone, and welcome back to the KenkoVibe podcast. I'm Ethan Reed,
And I'm Grace Morgan.
and today we're diving deep into a topic that might make some folks shift in their seats a little bit.
Yeah,
Erectile pain.
that's right.
Now, before anyone hits that skip button, let me assure you, this is something that impacts way more people than you might think.
Oh, absolutely. And it's especially common among younger people, but it's just not something that's talked about openly, which is a shame because it can really impact someone's confidence and their well-being.
Exactly. So we're going to do our part to break the stigma, starting with understanding what erectile pain actually is. It's not just some catch-all term, right?
No, not at all. It really describes any discomfort or pain that happens during an erection. And the location can vary, too. It's not always just in the penis itself. Some folks feel it in their pelvis abdomen, even down into the groin, thighs, or testicles.
So it's more like a whole spectrum of experiences than one specific thing, which makes me think the causes are probably pretty varied too.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes it's something as straightforward as poor circulation.
Okay, look at it like this. For an erection to happen, blood needs to flow into the penis and sort of get trapped there to create firmness. But if your blood vessels aren't doing their job as efficiently, that can create pressure and pain.
Okay, that makes sense. So anything that messes with healthy blood flow is a potential culprit. What else should people be aware of?
Well, infections can definitely play a role. Sexually transmitted infections, specifically things like genital warts or herpes, can cause pain in the area, and that can be especially noticeable during an erection.
Yeah, I imagine those would be pretty uncomfortable to deal with. Makes you think twice about skipping those regular checkups.
Exactly. Prevention and early detection are key now. On a more serious note, in some cases, erectile pain can be a sign of something like prostate cancer or Peyronie's disease.
Whoa, okay. Those sound pretty intense. Makes this whole conversation feel even more important.
It is important, and those are definitely situations where seeing a doctor is absolutely crucial. They can do the proper tests and make sure you get the right treatment, but don't worry, those aren't the most common causes.
Right, it's good to be aware of the possibilities, but not jump to worst-case scenarios. Speaking of possibilities, I was really surprised to see that our sources even linked erectile pain to constipation and bowel issues.
It sounds strange, I know, but if you think about the proximity of everything down there, it starts to make a bit more sense. A backed up bowel can put pressure on nerves and blood vessels in the pelvic region, which can then lead to pain during an erection.
Wow, that's something I bet most people wouldn't even consider. Really highlights the importance of, well, staying regular, I guess.
It definitely adds a whole new dimension to the "you are what you eat" saying, doesn't
It
it?
totally does. Okay, so we've got this whole range of potential causes, from circulation problems to infections to even things we might not think of, like bowel issues. Let's get to the part everyone's probably waiting for. What can you actually do about erectile pain?
Well, the good news is there's usually something that can help no matter the root cause, and there's a pretty wide spectrum of treatment options to explore.
Let's start with the basics: lifestyle changes. I know that's the advice everyone gives for everything these days, but surely it applies here too.
Absolutely. It might sound a little simplistic, but things like regular exercise, a healthy diet, and managing stress can make a huge difference. All those things impact blood flow and your overall health, which directly affects things downstairs.
Makes sense. So if you're not already taking care of yourself, that's a good place to start.
Couldn't agree more, but sometimes lifestyle changes alone aren't enough. That's where medications can come in, depending on the cause. There are medications that can improve blood flow, relax muscles, or reduce inflammation, all of which can help alleviate the pain.
So kind of a targeted approach based on what the doctor thinks is going on. Some people are hesitant about medications, though.
Sure.
What about alternatives?
There definitely are. You'd be surprised by the variety, for example. There are self-stimulation exercises that can help improve blood flow and strengthen the muscles involved in erections. It's basically like physical therapy, but for your pelvic floor.
Pelvic floor PT. Okay, hadn't heard of that one before. I'm picturing lots of Kegels.
You could think of it that way, and it's more common than you might think. Another option that might surprise you is cold compresses. The idea is that the cold helps reduce inflammation and numb the area, providing some relief.
Interesting. So it's like icing a sore muscle, but, well, a different kind of muscle.
Exactly. It's a simple but potentially effective approach, especially for managing pain in the short term. Now, of course, we can't forget about the natural erection boosters that have become so popular.
Ah, yes, the natural route. This seems to be a hot topic these days, with everyone looking for alternatives to traditional medicine. I'm definitely curious to unpack this more.
Me too. These products often market themselves as a safe and long-term solution, using herbal ingredients to address erectile pain and enhance sexual performance.
Sounds pretty enticing. And I know our source listed a few specific products, right?
They did male extra max performer Vigrex Plus and Viasil. Each one supposedly targets different aspects like stamina, libido, or erection strength. But before we get too deep into the weeds on those,
We're going to say that for part 2, right? Got to keep them coming back for more.
exactly. But before I move on, it's incredibly important to stress that regardless of which treatment path sounds appealing, the very first step should always be talking to a doctor.
Couldn't agree more. Self-treating can be risky, especially when it comes to something as important as your health. And with erectile pain, there can be so many underlying factors at play.
Exactly. A doctor can figure out what's really going on and recommend the best course of action for you.
So to recap, we've established that erectile pain isn't a one-size-fits-all issue. It can stem from things like poor circulation infections, even things we might not initially suspect, like digestive issues. And there's a whole buffet of solutions to explore: lifestyle tweaks, medications, even some surprising options like pelvic floor exercises and cold compresses. And of course, there's the whole world of natural remedies that we're going to dig into next time.
We've only scratched the surface, folks. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll break down those natural erection boosters and see what the science has to say about their effectiveness.
Until then, take care. And remember, you're not alone in this.
Welcome back to KenkoVibe.
We're picking up our deep dive into erectile pain, right where we left off with those intriguing natural erection boosters.
These products have definitely gained traction as people explore alternatives to traditional medications.
It makes sense, right? The idea of using natural ingredients to address this issue is appealing to a lot of folks.
Absolutely. They're often marketed as a gentler, more holistic approach.
So let's get down to brass tacks, starting with Male Extra. What's the story with this one?
Male Extra is primarily marketed as a stamina enhancer. Its key ingredient is pomegranate ellagic 40%, which some believe can improve blood flow and nitric oxide production.
No, hold on a second. Back up to that nitric oxide thing. What's the connection there?
Ah, good catch. Nitric oxide is a molecule that plays a vital role in relaxing blood vessels, which is crucial for, well, getting blood where it needs to go for an erection.
So more nitric oxide equals better blood flow, which equals longer lasting fun.
That's the general idea behind it, along with potentially giving you a bit of an energy boost, too.
Okay, so Male Extra is all about staying power. What about Max Performer? What's its claim to fame?
Max Performer leans more towards boosting libido and desire. It features ingredients like horny goatweed, which has a long history of traditional use for enhancing sexual function.
Horny goatweed. Okay, that's a name that's not easily forgotten.
It certainly is memorable, and it's thought to work by increasing levels of testosterone and dopamine, both of which play a role in revving up your desire.
Interesting. So while Male Extra is focused on endurance, Max Performer is more about sparking that initial flame.
Exactly. Different products, different angles.
Makes sense.
Okay.
We're just moving right along. What about Vigrex Plus? What's its specialty?
Vigrex Plus is all about enhancing the quality of erections. It includes ingredients like ginseng and Tribulus terrestris, which are believed to improve blood flow and support healthy testosterone levels.
So if someone's dealing with weak erections, this might be the one they'd gravitate towards.
Potentially, yes. The goal with these ingredients is to strengthen those erections and improve overall sexual performance.
Got it. And last but not least, we've got Viasil. What makes this one stand out?
Viasil is interesting because it's marketed as a pre-sex enhancement pill. It's meant to be taken shortly before things get, shall we say, heated, to give you a boost in blood flow and energy.
So it's more about an immediate effect rather than something you take long term.
That seems to be the focus. It features ingredients like citrus sinensis and pomegranates, which are known for their antioxidant properties and potential to get that blood pumping.
Okay, so we've got 4 contenders here, each with its own unique blend of ingredients and supposed benefits.
It's important to remember that the effectiveness of these products can vary wildly from person to person.
Right, there's no magic bullet here.
Exactly. And it's crucial to do your research, read reviews, and talk to a healthcare professional before trying any new supplement, especially if you're taking other medications.
Speaking of research, I'm curious about the science behind these natural ingredients. Is there actual evidence to back up these claims?
That's the million-dollar question. Some ingredients have shown promise in preliminary studies, but more research is needed to definitively confirm their effectiveness and safety in the long run.
So while there might be some traditional wisdom behind these ingredients, the scientific jury's still out.
I'd say that's a fair assessment. It's best to approach these products with a healthy dose of skepticism and stick to evidence-based information as much as possible.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, folks, we're not doctors here. This is an exploration of the topic, not medical advice.
If you're experiencing erectile pain or any other health concerns, a qualified healthcare professional is your best resource.
They can help you figure out the root cause and recommend the best course of action for you.
Now, we've spent quite a bit of time on these natural boosters, but there's another crucial aspect of erectile pain that we need to discuss.
The mind-body connection, right? We hinted at it earlier, but I think it deserves its own spotlight.
Exactly. We often think of erectile pain as solely physical, but our mental and emotional well-being can play a huge role.
That makes sense. Our brains and bodies are constantly talking to each other. So it stands to reason that stress, anxiety, all that good stuff could impact things downstairs.
Absolutely. In part 3, we'll dive deeper into that connection and explore how addressing those psychological and emotional factors can be key to finding lasting relief.
Stay tuned, folks. The conversation's just getting interesting. Welcome back to KenkoVibe.
And to the final part of our deep dive into erectile pain.
As promised, we're shifting gears here to explore the connection between our minds and, well, those more intimate parts.
It's a connection that's often overlooked, but it's incredibly important.
We've talked about the physical causes and all sorts of treatments, but I have a feeling this psychological and emotional side of things is a big piece of the puzzle.
You're absolutely right. It's not always just about what's happening physically. Our thoughts and feelings play a huge role in our sexual well-being.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. How exactly can psychological factors contribute to erectile pain?
Well, think about it when you're stressed out. Is romance usually the first thing on your mind?
Honestly, no. When I'm stressed, the only thing I want to perform is a disappearing act from whatever's stressing me out.
Exactly. And it's not just in your head. Stress triggers the release of hormones like cortisol, which can actually constrict blood vessels, making it harder to achieve and maintain an erection.
So basically, stress puts a literal squeeze on things.
It really can. And then if you're already worried about erectile pain, that stress can create this awful vicious cycle.
Yeah, I can see how that would snowball. The more you worry,
Yeah.
the worse it gets.
Yeah.
What about other emotions? Does stuff like depression or relationship problems factor in?
Absolutely. Depression can really zap your libido and desire, which can then lead to performance anxiety and potentially even erectile pain. And when it comes to relationships, well, it's no secret that unresolved conflicts or emotional distance don't exactly set the stage for a great sexual experience.
Definitely not the recipe for a romantic evening. It sounds like getting a handle on these underlying emotional and psychological factors is just as important as addressing the physical stuff.
Couldn't agree more. It's not always easy, but talking to a therapist or counselor can be incredibly helpful. They can provide support and guidance in working through those challenges.
And sometimes medication might be recommended to address conditions like anxiety or depression, right?
Exactly. Managing those underlying conditions can often have a positive ripple effect on your overall well-being, including your sexual health.
Now, even if someone's not dealing with a diagnosed mental health condition, are there things they can do to manage stress and anxiety in this context?
Absolutely. Even simple practices like mindfulness and stress reduction techniques can make a difference. Things like meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, anything that helps calm your nervous system and quiet these anxious thoughts.
Makes sense, and I imagine good communication with your partner is key too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when it comes to intimacy, open and honest communication can create a more supportive and understanding environment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into erectile pain, I think the main takeaway is that it's a multifaceted issue.
Exactly. It's not always just about the physical. Our mental, emotional, and even relational well-being plays a significant role.
If you're experiencing erectile pain, don't suffer in silence. Talk to your doctor. Consider seeking out a therapist if you think it could help. And remember, you're not alone in this.
There are solutions out there, and with the right approach, you can find relief and reclaim your sexual well-being.
I'm Ethan Reed.
And I'm Grace Morgan.
Thanks for joining us on this informative journey here at the KenkoVibe podcast.
If you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share it with anyone who might benefit from this information.
Until next time, take care and keep those vibes high.